Hi, what's up, everyone? It's Michael here. I'm kicking off today with a Q&A session as a part of the IT World onboarding program. We are supposed to also cover your questions, so why not to dive right in? By the way, I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Today in Slovakia, it's a little windy, and when I say a little, I mean it's quite a substantial problem. We are not supposed to even walk outside, so that's why I'm actually at home. So there were two questions that some of you would like me to answer. The first one was about the IT roles versus software developers. So Itka was asking, and she was a little confused. So she said, like, hey, Michael, you talk about software developers all the time. And I'm not sure if by software developers you mean everyone, or are there some other IT roles, or how does it all fit together? So that's the first question. And the second question was the difference between. So I'll talk for a while about this difference. How do I perceive the difference between a recruiter, an IT recruiter, and a talent advisor? All right, so I'll kick it off with the first one. And if you guys have any other question you'd like me to answer, we can do it now in the next half an hour or so. This is the right time. Hopefully the connection is okay. Hopefully the wind doesn't affect it. All right, so the difference between the IT roles and software developers. I'll share my screen so you guys can see one of the mind maps. Okay, so this is a mind map with the IT roles on a very high level. So you can see here that the IT roles consists of roles in different categories. So this is how we've categorized it on a very high level. Okay, so you can see that software developers are just a part of it. Okay, so it's here on top right. However, when I talk to recruiters, usually they recruit software developers. These are the most common roles. That's why I often refer to software developers. But obviously there are other roles such as cybersecurity specialists or cloud specialists, right? But these are less known roles. So that's why we've started with software developers. Okay, and then we can see that there are two different ways how to categorize. So as you can see on the top right, we have web developers, mobile app developers, desktop app developers. So we can categorize based on the type of an application. Okay, so it could be web development or mobile app development or desktop app development. Or we can categorize software developers based on the stack they focus on. So it could be full stack developer, or it could be a backend developer or a front-end developer. Okay, so a backend developer is the developer who works on the backend side of the application. So it could be building the APIs, working with database, etc. And the front-end developer works on the front-end side of it. Okay, so builds the website, the front end, the user-facing website. And the full stack, obviously, is a developer who works with both backend and frontend. Okay, so this is how we can look at it. And most of you, then can categorize it a little further. So it could be, say, a full stack C# developer or full stack PHP developer. So for that, we have actually a more granular mind map. This is just a very high level overview. Designers, as you can see on top left, right? DevOps engineers, support specialists, and then all of these can then go a level deeper. So for example, first level specialists or second level specialists or whatever, right? Cloud specialists, cybersecurity specialists, cybersecurity engineers, analysts, like countless of roles. I can open another mind map if you'd like me to, the more granular. This is just a high level, okay? Network and system administrators. Okay, so this is just a quick answer to Yitka's question about the relationship between IT roles and software development roles. So I hope that this clarifies it a little. And those of you who go through the program, the IT World program, will get to these roles, in the following modules. So we start with recruiting software developers. Actually, in fact, we start with laying down proper foundation, right? Because it's all about first understanding the terminology, understanding the terms, acronyms. So last week, you guys were supposed to cover that. And then we start looking at who are these guys, what frameworks, what languages do they use. Okay, so hope that makes sense. Let me check if there are any comments. Oh yeah, there is one comment, so let me check it. If we hire a software engineer backend, but skills that required are MongoDB and Node.js, but JavaScript we use for front end. So what should we try to focus while searching for the candidate? Yeah, that's an interesting question. So let me just briefly answer this. MongoDB is a database, right? Non-relational, NoSQL database, and Node.js is a runtime environment that allows JavaScript to run on the backend. Okay, but Node.js is just a virtual machine, but the code is written in JavaScript. So here, in fact, the developer will use JavaScript for both backend and frontend. Okay, skills that required are MongoDB and Node.js. Let me share another mind map that will make it more clear, because here I have the JavaScript development stack here. Okay, so let me zoom it up. Okay, and hide the question so you guys can see it. So JavaScript, and now this is important. First, not to confuse Java with JavaScript. So JavaScript is a programming language, and it can be used for backend and for front end. And where do I have it? Okay, so here it could be used for backend and for front end. So we have a front end JavaScript developer who uses frameworks such as React or Angular or Vue.js, or a backend developer who builds APIs using Node.js. Okay, or a full stack JavaScript developer who pretty much combines these two, backend plus front end. So both, the person works on both APIs using Node.js and builds the front-end user-facing website using either React or Angular or Vue.js. So now, coming back to your question, you are looking for a person who is actually a full-stack JavaScript developer. So someone who can use JavaScript on the front end using one of these frameworks, and can also use JavaScript on the backend, okay, to build APIs. And somewhere here, we may also have at the database. Do I have database here? Other important terms, languages, project management tools. No, I don't have here databases, but it's on a different mind map. JavaScript is often used together with MongoDB. Okay, so that just comes back to your question. I'll get here on the screen again. If you hire just senior engineer backend, but skills that required are MongoDB, Node.js, what should I try to focus on? So what to focus on? Well, I would start with the framework used on the front end. So what framework is used on the front end? It could be here, React, Angular, Vue.js. These three are on fire, as you can see on our mind map. These three are most popular these days: React, Angular, Vue.js. jQuery is already legacy, and these others were popular a few years ago, but I would also consider them legacy today. Okay, I'm looking at these three plus jQuery. So you should focus on one of these frameworks. I would ask a hiring manager, what framework do they use? Do they use Do they use either React or Angular or Vue.js? You should have a clear answer. They may use, usually they use only one of them. So so it will be a clear answer. Hey, on the front end we use React. Great, and you know it. And then on the backend side, it's quite straightforward because it's just Node.js. But they also may use some other libraries, other like tools, development tools. That's actually often beyond the scope of JavaScript, because many of the tools can be used for website development in general. But it could be tools like here linters, for example, JSLint or ESLint, or these build and automation tools, task runners. So these are the more advanced tools that JavaScript developers use, mostly full stack JavaScript developers, right? Because they use it to clean up the code, to the scripts, to multiple folders, subfolders. So in other words, to automate some of the mundane tasks. Okay, so I would be asking, coming back to the mind map, as soon as you look at the mind map, then it gets clear what to ask. What framework do you use on the front end? I'm looking here on the right. React, Angular, Vue.js. What other tools do you use? So say Webpack, Gulp, Uglify, Browserify. So some of these should be already established, and then maybe some other libraries used on the backend could be, some other popular libraries like Redux. So some of these I would be asking a hiring manager what is specific about their environment. So I would also ask into which extent they have adopted these coding best practices, because it now gets mainstream, obviously, to use Git to store code, to use some automation tools, task runners, like you can see on the left here, Gulp, Grunt, Uglify. So I'll be asking the hiring manager into what extent they have adopted these best practices, and then the second question would be what is special about their stack. Maybe they don't use any of these three popular frameworks. Maybe they use some other framework, because there are so many frameworks, right? These three are just most popular. Oh yeah, there is already an answer: React and Redux. Okay, so they use React, great, and Redux that you can see on the mind map here. Redux on the bottom left. So as soon as you know this, you know what to ask a developer. Ask about the experience with Redux, React, Redux, and experience building APIs, experience building front-end websites, and then coming back to the web development mind map. Let me just find it quickly. Here, it's web development. So the web development landscape indicates you also what is considered as more, say more advanced. Here on the left side, you can see the advanced front-end development. So even if they use React, it's likely they use some other tools. For example, CSS preprocessors or CSS layouts and grids. So you can start asking first the hiring manager if they use any of these, because if not, well then they, there is no point asking it a developer. But if they do, you can ask a developer if they have experience with any of these, CSS preprocessors, layouts and grid, if they test on the front end in any way using some test automation tools. Okay, so coming back to the mind map, you can scroll to page number 11. There is this web development landscape mind map, and it indicates what is considered as, say, mainstream. Here on the top right, you can see content management systems. There are different ways how to build websites using website builders. This is the easy way. And then the advanced front-end development usually utilizes some more advanced tools, frameworks, libraries, or vanilla JavaScript. Okay, so hope it clarifies it a little. If you have any question, just shoot. I'll just reread it again to make sure I have answered it. Skill set required: Mongo, Node.js, JavaScript and frontend. What should I try to focus? Oh yeah, seems like I covered it. Okay, and the second question, I was asked was what's the difference between a recruiter and a talent advisor. Maybe some of you actually have noticed it in some of my job descriptions. I usually sign it up, or I'm in the very last line. There is my name, comma, a talent advisor, like IT talent advisor, and my contact details. So I don't position myself as a recruiter, but rather as an IT talent advisor. And the difference I personally see is that I try to get to a point where I can advise the hiring manager who would be that particular role. So this is also how we have developed the training program. First to help you understand the roles, understand the acronyms, the basic terms, and then eventually progress towards being able to well, not make decisions, but at least to help the hiring manager navigate in this IT talent landscape. Just as an example, one of the CTOs, one of our clients, was just sending me a profile of a candidate they consider hiring even without me looking for the person. And he asked me for an opinion, like, hey, Michael, you know about our challenges, you know about our team. Do you think this person would be a good fit to where we want to get next year? So I would say this is a role of a talent advisor, and obviously your value on the market increases with this approach, because recruiters, there are multiple levels, right? Like, or not levels, but how do you call it when, say, someone just focuses on sourcing, and someone else focuses on recruiting, and someone else focuses on, right, like specialization, in other words. So sourcing, into large extent, is now, or soon will be automated, we can say, using automated ads, social media. Obviously there is headhunting into some extent, and still will be, especially for the more senior roles. But if you'd like to, remain competitive on the market, you also need to, a little, selfishly look at how can you increase your market value. And in this sense, I believe the way is to, shift from just forwarding CVs here and there to being a partner to hiring managers and CTOs, because they start, inviting you to more and more important meetings and involve you to decisions. And obviously you will be the first one as soon as they need to hire someone. But this is my take on the difference between a recruiter and a talent advisor. If you guys have any different opinion, feel free to share in a comment. I'll be happy to learn what do you guys think about the difference, and how do you perceive a value of a recruiter. It's on a very high level, it's pretty straightforward, right? Like, there are definitions all over the internet, but I like to look at it from another angle, like pretty much how I describe, like how can we as recruiters shift to more value-adding roles. There is one more question. Let me zoom it in. We have one position, software development engineer in test, where we are looking for a candidate with Jest and Puppeteer. Can you please share about these two skill set, as those are quite new in trend and hard to find? Yeah, sure. Let me open one of the mind maps. So someone was just asking me recently if we also have these mind maps in a PDF, because an advantage of PDFs is search, and now I just I just searched. So that was very good observation. It's a little more difficult with printed booklet. Here you can see, yes, sometimes it's pronounced jest. It's a matter of opinion, I guess. Testing frameworks and tools. So if you look at the JavaScript development landscape, there are multiple development frameworks, UI frameworks and libraries like React, Angular, Vue.js. With these frameworks, developers build the front-end website, right? As you can see here, this is what we talked about just a while ago. And then as soon as a website is built, they may need to test the functionality, because they don't want it to break all the time. So that's why there has been this shift from manual testing to automated testing, and a range of tools emerged. So all these testing frameworks, such as Selenium, very, very popular, cross-platform, Cypress, Mocha.js, Jest, Yasmin, Karma, Puppeteer. So these are the testing frameworks and tools. And similarly as the UI frameworks, these come and go. So some of them were more popular, some of them less popular. What what is important is at least the habit in the team, the habit of using some tool, because as soon as they start using tools, it is, say, the first step. So it's just on a very high level good to see a team uses one of these tools. And then it's just a matter of preferences, whether they prefer Selenium or Jest or Yasmin, Karma. If you would go to Google, you would find different lists, like top 10 frameworks in 2019, top 10 frameworks in 2020, and the list is pretty much the same, just reshuffled based on maybe who sponsored the post. My take on these two is, they may use Jest, they may use Jasmine. There are some differences, like some of them may be better for like website automation. Some of them can take screenshots of a website. Some of them can be reused across different. Gosh, it's really windy out there. Sorry. So some of them can be reused across different platforms, different programming languages like Selenium. And those that end up with JS, it's pretty much obvious, right? I would say 2 years ago, many of them, maybe most of them, were named like JS, like Jasmine JS, maybe not Jest. I don't remember about Jest. Puppeteer. So what I wanted to say is that coming back to the question, right? These are quite new in trend and hard to find. Well, yeah. Again, as with other tools, as soon as someone starts using, say, Jasmine or Karma or Selenium, they develop this habit of testing. They learn how to test. They learn about best practices in testing, and then the particular tool is just a tool. They can learn another framework, or they can go from Mocha to Jest. So a takeaway for you: if you cannot find a developer who can code, not code because it's all in JavaScript, but who has no experience with Jest, well, then get someone who has experience with Mocha.js, and then they can just learn Jest in, I don't know, maybe a few days, because it's, again, just a skill that can be developed, providing a developer already knows JavaScript because it's all written in JavaScript, providing a developer already has experience writing scripts, writing test scripts, so automated tests. So so as soon as someone can write automated tests, then they can shift from one framework to another relatively easily. So that would be my take on, if you cannot find these two skill sets, or especially if you are looking for both Jest and Puppeteer, that may be quite challenging to find one person experience with Jest and at the same time work experience with Puppeteer. I would say on a high level, I would say, and it could be applied possibly even here, I see this shift from recruiting people with a particular niche or particular skill set, particular skill, to just getting people who have the understanding of the higher level, so say JavaScript development, because they can then learn that particular framework, right? I'll demonstrate it again on this example. We talked about JavaScript, right? So as soon as a developer learns about JavaScript, as soon as the developer has been working with React for 2 years, well, then it's not that difficult to jump on a project with Vue.js. Obviously, he or she needs to learn this new syntax, but he or she already understands the JavaScript as a programming language, understands the syntax, understands the maybe coding best practices, the ecosystem, the difference between I don't know, front-end and back-end development in JavaScript, the templating engines, for example, right? So then it's not that difficult. And similarly here, I would think things in the same manner. Can we just get someone who has experience with Cypress, so someone who has already been working with JavaScript, someone who has already been involved in some testing, and then just upskill him on the job to learn about Jest or Puppeteer. So that would be my take on this. Okay, do you guys have any other question? I would be glad to answer it. If not, then we could wrap it up. We talked about the IT roles versus software developer roles. What's the difference? I talked about recruiters versus talent advisors. So hopefully, we will work towards helping you become these talent advisors who are bring more value to the table, who can advise the CTO, hiring manager. So stay tuned. And we talked about what else? We talked about the role Mongo and Node.js on the backend and JavaScript on the front end, and we talked about testing. So yeah, unless there is any further question, I would wrap it up here. These are the 3 questions I can see. So yeah, shall we wrap it up? Or you can guys at least send me a message in a comment. Yeah. So something, like how is your day? At least write me, how is your day? How do you enjoy the training so far? How have you progressed? Because it's also good feedback for me and for my team to see if this is helpful. We've been training people last year, and we have changed something in the training, in the materials, in the way we deliver the training. So hopefully you find it helpful, but we also need to get some feedback to see if it works or not. So yeah, all right, thanks a lot. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Stay tuned, and yeah, recruit lots of developers and other IT roles, obviously. Cheers.